Thanks, Catherine. Welcome, everybody, to our August Intacct Customer Hour. Again, I appreciate you all taking the time out of your day. I know everyone has very busy schedules. Today, we're going to walk through our agenda. So I'm going to do an introduction. We're going to do a demonstration, and the request this month was for a custom report. Then we'll have our Q&A session, and then again, please, if you have requests for future customer hours, please send them to us. This is about you, the customer, so we want to be able to present things that are of interest to you. I want to do a brief introduction of myself. Some of you may have heard this already, but my name is Barbara Race. I'm an Intacct implementations consultant with Massey Consulting. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting. I have many years of accounting experience. The last company I worked with used Intacct, and we were going on our 6th year of using Intacct. Unfortunately, that company was sold, and then I joined Massey, and now I am working on the implementation side of it. Today, like I said, our demonstration is going to be on custom reports. So let's get a little detail on our custom reports. A custom report can draw on data from any existing field, any custom fields. You can build a custom report by using the step-by-step wizard. And to add a custom report, you would go either in Intacct to your platform services and choose reports, or if you have the customization services area, you would choose the custom reports. Custom reports. Custom reports, what can we do with them? We can deploy the custom reports. Custom reports can be added to a dashboard. Custom reports can be edited, deleted, inactivated, and they can be duplicated, and that's one of the nice things is if you build one custom report, you can always duplicate it and then edit it and save it as a different name so you have a different version of that report. So with that, we're going to go ahead and talk about the custom report wizard. Again, there's the steps that Intacct has you walk through. So you're going to pick a data source. You're going to add your columns. You're going to filter your data. You can group the data if you so choose. You can reset your reporting period. You can define the chart of account display. You can add prompts, and you can save and add to your menu within Intacct. I'm going to jump over real quickly to Intacct, and we're going to walk through the where we find our custom reports. I've already built the custom report just so we don't have to take the time to go through each of the steps. So here within the company I am in, we're going to go to Platform Services. We're going to go to Reports. And the request was to build a report to show sales by the sales reps. And I've done two different versions of them. I did one where there's no grouping, so I'm going to start with that one. And I'll walk through, and we'll walk through the little wizard, step-by-step wizard. So when we come in, the very first step is going to ask us to pick our primary source. For this report, our primary source is going to be an invoice. We're going to go to the step 2, and we're going to add the columns that we want to see on our report. For this report, I've added the customer ID, the customer name, the date here was the invoice date, the due date, the invoice number, and the total amount of the invoice. And then I've come down through, and I need to add also our contact name, which in this instance is going to be our sales rep name. So I've picked my columns that I want from my report, so I can come back and go to the next step in our wizard. And this would be if I wanted to add any calculated columns. For this report, I don't have any calculated columns, so I'm just going to go on to step 4, which is to select the sequence we want our columns to be in. And I set them up to be in this order: customer rep, the customer name, customer ID, the customer name, invoice number, date, due date, and amount. And again, within Intacct, if you needed to move anything around, you would just click on the little dots over here on the side and move it to where you want to place it. You also can change the names here if you want it to for your column headers. So if you want it to have it read something other than sales rep ID, you could change that here. Step 5, if I need it to do any count, subs, sums, averages, anything like that, you can add it here. I don't have anything added for this report. And then again, if I want it to do anything in a specific ascending or descending order, I can choose it from here. I've left everything just to come over the way. There's no specific order I want it in. I don't have any filters. I add it. If you want it to add a filter, you could filter that you only want it to see certain customer IDs, etc. I did not do that for this report. And then I chose for this report to do no groupings because I wanted to show you what a report would look like with groupings and without groupings. And here I chose what my reporting period would be, and I decided I wanted this one to be current year-to-date reporting. Here, if I wanted to add additional prompts for when you put your information in to select your report, you can add other prompts. So if I wanted to see, again, if I wanted to run it by a specific customer ID, if I wanted to run it by a GL posting date, I could put those items in there as well. But I've just right now left it the current year-to-date information. I've named my report, and now I want to run my report to see what it looks like. I'm going to view the report. And you can see it gives me the information that I've asked for. It's giving me the sales rep ID, the sales rep name, the customer name, what invoices and the invoice dates, the due date, and the amount of the invoices. So that's the report without grouping. So what I've also done, and I've gone in and I've created a report with grouping just so you can see a different view of how these reports look. So if we look at that one, again, it's going to be the same steps within the wizard, so I chose the same information throughout, except when I got into the enable grouping step, which is step 8, I told it, yes, I want to group. And what does it ask me then? From here, it's going to ask me, what is it you want to group? So I know that I want to do it by the contact name, so I came down and found under the contacts, the contact name, and listed that here. And again, if I run my report, you can see my filter set up to be the same, current year to date. So I want to view my report. And you can see now it's grouped by the sales rep name. So now I know for Carla Grace, she had 2 invoices, one for Fellowship 1 and one for Script customers, and then her totals would be here. And then the same thing with Tom Hayes. He had 2 customers that he was working with that had invoices within this current year. So that's how I created the by grouping. So you can see the grouping gives you a much cleaner and nicer looking report where you don't have to sort. You can bring, again, any of these reports into Word, into Excel, CSV, any of the ones that are listed here if you wanted to do it that way. I also asked when I save this report that it be deployed. So if I go back to where I asked it to do my order and I go through, that's if I want to do a graph. Here's where I would add additional prompts if I wanted to run those on the report. Here's where I save, and I gave this report the name Sale by Sales Rep, and I told it to add it to the menu, and I'm asking it to add it to the menu under Accounts Receivable. And what does that mean? That means if I go into Accounts Receivable and I go to Custom Reports, that report will show here. So I can get that report from here and run it directly from my Accounts Receivable Custom Reports. And so you can see that the prompt here is current year to date, and my date is today. I can put it for any date I want it to run it as of. I have the option now of memorizing the report, of adding the report to a dashboard. So if I chose at this point to memorize a report, I can click it here, give it its name, I can decide if I want to make it public. If I make it public, then other people can see it. And I can say OK. And by memorizing this report, then I can go into my reports and go to my memorized reports, and you can see that sales rep 2 is right here in my memorized reports. And then that allows me to be able to add it to dashboards. So if I went into my dashboard, and I have a dashboard that's called sales, I can come in, there's nothing on this dashboard yet, I can add a component to the dashboard. I can ask it to give me a look at the reports, and I want to look at my memorized reports, and I can bring that sales by sales rep 2 report in and save it. And then you can see the report shows right up here on our dashboard. The other nice thing is you also have the option if you go into your custom reports. And I'm just going to go back to accounts receivable, my custom reports. And if I have a dashboard that I know I can add it to that's available to me, I can add it right from the report itself. So I can add it to the sales and give it a name. Same thing, make it public if I want it to, say OK, and it will add it directly from there. It's the same report that I just added from the memorized report, so that's an easier way to do it as well. Okay.
Hey, Barbara.
Yes.
Not to stop you, but we had a question if you could show your field section again. And can I group by customer within the salesperson? I thought those would go ahead and ask you those.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was the beginning part of it?
The first one was, would you show your field selections again?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our second step, is what fields we chose. And in the very top part under the invoice, I chose the customer ID, the customer name, the date, the due date, the invoice number, and the total amount. Then I came down and I opened the customer section and went down into the customer, the contact, and found the contact name and checked that. So that brings over the rep name.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was a question on grouping. Can I group by you can group, I believe, by 3 different, I believe it's 3 things.
Yep, it was just, can I group by customer within the salesperson?
My example only has 1 customer for each of them, so I don't know how much this is actually going to show us, but let's see.
Okay.
Group data. Maximum of 3 groupings. So if we group by customer ID, and then we'll run the report and see what we have changed here. So what it's doing is it's doing it Carla by Carla Grace and then what her customer 3 is. And I don't know if that's what exactly the question, if that's what they were looking for. But that's what that does.
Yep, I'll ask and get back to you.
Okay.
I'll let you keep going then.
Okay. Is there any other questions on the custom report, how you find it within the fields in Intacct. Okay.
I don't see any right now, but I'll let you know if one pops in.
Okay, with that, my presentation on how to do a custom report is now finished, so we are to the question and answers.
Okay.
So Q&A.
I know we have 2 questions that we got ahead of time.
Okay.
So we'll go with the first one, and it's how do I get a report showing unpaid bills as of specific date?
Okay, the best way to get I'm going to pop back over into Intacct just so you can kind of see it. With accounts payable, I would say is to go to your register and go to the bill register. And I'm not really sure what I have in accounts payable in here, so I apologize. But if we leave the date as, let's make it the current year to date, maybe we'll have something in there. If you click the hide the paid documents here, then it won't show you ones that have been paid, and you can just see what you have open for that period of time. So let's see if there's anything in there. No. But that is the best way to do it. Is to go again to your accounts payable, your registers, and go to your bill register, and you can run the report. And again, if you wanted to see what was paid for a specific period of time, you can leave that hide paid document as unchecked, and it's going to show you anything that was paid during the period of time you're looking for.
Okay, so the next one is, what is the best way to go through the budget process with Intacct?
Okay, that's a very good question. So the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out what budget you're going to create. So you create your budget, and you do that under the general ledger and add a budget. So if you wanted to add a budget and you had for example, this one here, we could just call it the operating budget. And one of the things I really wish I would have known when I was an Intacct user, because I had done the mistake of creating budgets by year. So every year I had to go in and change the financial report columns to make sure that they had the current budget information in. But one of Intacct's best practices is to create one budget, create your reporting periods, and then bring in your budget. And then the next year you'll create your reporting periods and bring in it to the same thing. So you'd use the operating budget, and it would just be an ever-evolving budget. The easiest way to bring the budget into Intacct is to use the template. So you get all your information together. I did it in Excel, uploaded the template, then saved the template as a CSV file, and imported it in, and that was the easiest way to do it. The very first things you must remember always to do when you're ready to do a budget is make sure you have a budget ID created, and that you have your reporting periods and you have them marked as that they're budgetable reporting periods. So okay. I hope that answered the question.
And then we've got one more. They said they heard that Intacct is coming out with a new report writer. Do you have any idea when that will happen?
No, but we're all waiting for it, and hopefully they will make some more of announcements on the report writer during Intacct Advantage.
Awesome. I think everyone will be excited to hear about that.
Yes.
If anyone else has any last-minute questions, you can go ahead and type it in to the questions or the chat box. And just a reminder to everyone, if you want to go back and kind of re-listen to some of these answers, if one of the questions was yours or you know someone that will help it, I will have it up on YouTube by the end of the day, and it will also be one of our blog posts this week. So you'll have 2 different ways to find it. I think we are good on question.
Okay. The last thing I just want to remind everybody is please, if you have anything, suggestions, requests for future customer hours, please email Catherine at masseyconsulting.net. And just a reminder also, if you are working with Intacct and you come across an issue or you're having a problem, please send an email to support@masseyconsulting.net, and one of us will be able to respond to you. We monitor that daily, so we're always watching to see if anyone has questions or is running into any kind of issues.
Perfect. I think the only thing I had left for everyone is don't forget about Advantage in October 2017. I know we'll be calling everyone to see if you are planning on attending or if you just want to know some more information so you can make that decision. And if you are planning to attend and you've already signed up, you can shoot me an email. My email's up there, and we can sit down and go through the sessions with you just to make sure you get the most out of the entire event. It's a great conference. Everyone always says how much they learn when they're there, so we'd love to see everyone there. Thank you, and have a great Tuesday.
Thank you.